Can you be fat and fit? One doctor says yes in a controversial new book called The Obesity Paradox, when thinner means sicker and heavier means healthier. Our Dr. Richard Besser here to weigh in on that, but first, ABC's Rena Ninan sat down with the man behind the theory.
You see them on the red carpet and the runway, those super svelte figures so many of us long to duplicate. But what if we told you this woman might be more fit than some of those size 2s? In his controversial new book, The Obesity Paradox, Louisiana cardiologist Dr. Carl Levy wants Americans to rethink their outlook on weight and stop fearing fat.
Linebackers in the NFL would all be considered obese by the BMI method, and they have hardly any body fat. You know, they're almost all muscle.
BMI, or body mass index, measures how overweight you are by using your height and weight. 25 or higher, you're overweight. 30 and up, you're obese. 41-year-old Jessica Klinger says her BMI is around 33, which falls in the obese category. But Dr. Levy says that might not be a bad thing.
It may be that in some ways having more fat may help a person be able to fight a disease. If someone's already normal weight, or even worse, if they're underweight, they just don't have the reserve.
Still, some healthcare experts are critical of Levy's approach.
Do you worry, though, that you're giving people false hope, that it's okay to be obese, to be a little fat, to have that steak or the chocolate cake?
It's not doomsday, that if they don't lose those last 20 or 30 pounds, they can still be very healthy, particularly if they keep themselves out of the low fitness category.
Jessica says she struggled with weight most of her life, but today she feels fit, even exercising up to 9 hours a week.
I try to do whatever I can to stay active throughout the day so I can become the best me that I can be.
So if you're overweight, how can you tell if you're fit? Dr. Levy has a simple test.
Somebody who can walk a mile in 15 minutes has got a good level of fitness.
Of course, Dr. Levy agrees each person should be considered individually. But the bottom line, he says, sometimes heavier does mean healthier. For Good Morning America, Rena Ninan, ABC News, New York.
Okay, let's talk to our chief health and medical editor, Dr. Richard Besser, about all this. Little reality check.
Yeah, you know, yes, you can be fat and fit, but your chances of being healthy go way down. We know as your weight goes up, your risk of heart disease, diabetes, those things go up as well. I think it is important, though, that regardless of what your weight is, you want to be as fit as possible.
And what do you make of this whole BMI thing? Because he was referencing that muscle weighs more than fat, so you can't necessarily tell.
Yeah, I don't buy this. You know, clearly BMI is not a perfect measure, but as your BMI goes up, you're more likely to be obese. If you're a trained athlete, you're going to have a high BMI, but you don't need your BMI to tell you that you're fit. But if you have a high BMI and you can't see your toes, you got a problem there. It's not perfect.
And even if you have a low BMI, doesn't mean that you're totally safe.
That's right, and that's an important thing here, that if you have a low BMI, if you're very thin, but you don't have any muscle tone and you're not fit, you're not healthy. And if you have an illness, it's going to hit you for a loop. You want to have a little reserve. You want to be able to walk that mile in 15 minutes. You want to go up 2 flights of stairs without getting winded and be able to carry your groceries without getting tired.
Is the mile in 15 minutes really the standard?
I don't think that's not. You won't see that on any official fitness test. But if you can't do that, I mean, that's a pretty low bar there.
But you think BMI is still a good measurement?
I think it's useful. You know, you want to track that. You don't want to rely on that because you can have a normal BMI and not be fit. You want to make sure you're exercising. I mean, my bottom line on this is that you want to eat right. You want to exercise regularly, everything in moderation. You want to be as fit as you can be at whatever weight you are. It's not all about getting thin, it's about being healthy. Right. Yeah, and that's an important takeaway here.
Yeah, sure is.
Dr. Besser, thanks so much as always.